Good evening. I'd like to call the Planning, Zoning, Building Committee to order. Roll call.
Alderman Stubach.
Here.
Alderman Coles.
Here.
Alderman Winger.
Here.
Alderman Knipe. Alderman Peisig. Alderman Wesley.
Here.
Alderman Shockey.
Here.
Alderman Ptolemy.
Here. Quorum being present, I'd like to make a motion to approve the minutes of March 8th, 2007. Do I have a second?
Second.
On the question? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next, we have items to be considered at future meetings. We have A, changes to ZBA procedures. B, model ordinance requiring community antenna television system to obtain franchise. C, an RFP for zoning code and zoning map amendments. And D, the B4 zoning district. Does anybody have anything else they'd like to add? Hearing nothing, I'd like to make a motion to adjourn.
So move. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
I'm calling to order the Finance and Administration Committee meeting of March 22nd, 2007. Will the minute taker please reflect the same members present? Make a motion to approve the minutes dated March 8th, 2007. Is there a second?
Second?
On the question? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next item is report and recommendation on the budget revisions and overviews of all funds for 0708 budget year. And with that, I'll ask our interim finance director, Maggie Powers, to take us through.
Thank you, Chairman Winger. Can I have the keyboard? You should have received a packet last week that contained all of the revised budget worksheets. And there's one additional one that you have in front of you now. This is for the stream bed stabilization. At the last Finance Committee meeting, it was discussed that we should split out the ornamental lighting to an account of its own, so that has been done. And you'll see that the items that are highlighted in blue are the ones that have changed. I think the changes were self-explanatory. They follow directly along with the minutes. But what I wanted to go over with you this evening is the tourism fund, because at the last meeting, we realized that there would probably be changes to the special events budget. So you got two budgets last week in the packet. One that was just corrections from that first meeting. The second one was version 2, marked as version 2, because it does have an expanded special events budget. Okay. No. The version 1, or the revised submitted tourism budget, results in a $44,537 fund balance. So the deficit is $125,904. Version 2, with the expanded special events, results in $139,504 deficit, although there will be ending fund balance of $31,037. And I'm not sure, Mayor, are you going to go through the special events? Or Amanda?
I think Amanda's going to start, and I will supplement.
She should go to the podium.
Okay, in regards to the special events budget, I'm just gonna kind of go over. We plan on asking for actually an increase of $13,500. This increase is due to, number one, we have a volunteer recognition dinner that you guys may have still be fresh in your minds, that we are planning to add to this budget. So actually, we are asking for $10,000 to be added to our budget in order to enhance our events. We're trying to enhance our Jubilee event to extend it to a possible 2 to 3 day event, which we feel the community, it's better for the community, and it brings us together as a community to offer an event that's better for our members and to also increase the attendance. one of the number one reasons why it's going to cost us more is we're increasing the days, and we are also planning on changing the location to town, what we're now calling Town Square, which is the corner of Commercial and Wooddale Road. And those changes do require some costs that we know of now, and there may be more possibly future costs. I kind of put this together to describe some of the stuff that's going to cost us in order for this event to work and to increase our attendance, which is what we're looking for. On the top left corner, there is staging. We're going to have to either rent or possibly in the future permanently put staging. We're looking for improved staging, and we've looked into some staging, which is costing us probably $900 a day per event, which last year was not an issue. We used the gazebo at our other location. Also, we're looking for more uniform food booths because we're thinking of adding a taste to our event, which, you know, it makes it look cleaner, and we have set up stuff for our vendors, which we're planning on doing. We're also planning on adding a carnival, which we're going to need possible electricity and an electrician on site, which will cost in the neighborhood of possibly $5,000. But in turn, we may get revenue from this carnival. We're getting 25% back if we do the right planning and make it happen. We're also looking to have some bigger name entertainment. In order to get the people here, we feel an already named band would draw in not even just Wooddale residents, but residents, you know, from all over that are interested in entertainment. Our pitch, though, is we're still trying to have a community event, you know, family orientated, but we really want to add to it for our community. And my main concern would be is we need these type of things to pull this together to make a good event. And I also have on the budget a line item for new events and enhancement of current events. What if this is not able to be pulled off, I wanted to kind of keep it separate in order to have new events. In the past, last year, we had a winter concert on our budget, and we also had a movie day that did not end up happening. We ended up not spending any of it. This year, I'd like to leave it kind of a little more open. We have some more new ideas. We'd like to maybe do a winter concert. We'd like to maybe do an ice cream social at the new streetscape pond area. We'd like to, you know, do a number of those kind of things to enhance our special events for Wooddale. We're looking to, we're just looking to increase attendance and, you know, what is best for the people in our community. Basically, that's how I see it. There's some key points. Like I said, change of venue costs, we're moving it to the town square. It also will require generators. We're possibly in the future looking for permanent electricity. We want to improve our advertising. We have actually found some ways to advertise that won't cost us, but we're looking for improving our advertising in order to get the people to come. Our signs are great. Those were a great start to our advertising process for the Special Events Committee, but we're also looking to add to that. Like I said, implementing new event ideas such as the ice cream social, the winter concert, and enhancing the Jubilee. And that's pretty much, if there's anything anybody else wants to add.
Mr. Mayor?
Yeah, let me supplement that a little bit. As you know, the budget is the legal authority to expend money. We're not anticipating spending $63,500 of tourism money. We have to budget for the contributions we receive as well. So if Itasca Bank underwrites the Sounds of Summer concert for $2,500, we have to budget for that. But that won't be an expenditure of tax money. We're anticipating Suburban Bank is going to make an equal contribution towards some of these expenses as well. And Mimi has been very good. Do we know the total contribution she got last year? It's been going up every year. It's
Yes.
about 8,000 or something? or-
It's 10,000 for the Jubilee.
No, I mean donations that she solicited.
The 10,000 number was.
Looks like Maggie's trying to, so I believe she got 8,000, so that we need to budget for. So don't get too alarmed with this figure. As far as the change of events, we have noticed, or the change of location, we've noticed declining attendance at some of the Sounds of Summer concert series. In some cases, we've spent $1,200 for a band, and we've had 80 people sitting there in the audience. So we thought if we used the old softball field over here next to White Cottage Pizza, people can go over there and get a pizza, bring it over, watch the event. It's more located in the center of town. People will be easier to walk to the event. We'll have parking at the Park District. We'll have parking at City Hall. We'll have parking at Suburban Bank, which has volunteered use of their facility as well. We're also anticipating, again, with the carnival, 25% of that income is going to be, of the gross income is coming to us, and that needs to be reflected in this increased figure as well. And we're also planning on selling advertising at the stage, banners, and at the bingo tent as well, something we did years ago. So I just want to supplement it. Don't get too alarmed with this increased figure, because we are anticipating increased contributions as well.
Alderman Subak.
I think when you do look at the amount of the budget for the community events, you have to consider the amount that we give to yesterday's farm on the Harvest Fest. I mean, that is a community event. It's not run by us, but we fund a large portion of it. So if you add that 5,000 plus the 63,500, your actual figure you're looking for, Mr. Mayor, under your events is 68,500. You're just kind of lining it, so, and I like to round that up to 70,000. We're looking to spend at community events. And I remember when I first came on the council, when they wanted to go from $23,000 to $32,000, those guys threw an absolute fit. I know costs have gone up. I think that the Jubilee picnic has been good for the last couple of years, but it is time to change it up a little bit. And I like some ideas that were proposed. I think we need a little bit more solid numbers on what some of the attendance figures were last year at some of these events, and also confirm what's not in here is, like, if we do a summer fest, that's really kind of what you're going back to. There's no numbers in here for overtime for police. We need better figures on electrical. Are we going to put permanent electric out there and how much that's going to cost? Do we have any idea if there's enough space to run a carnival? All those additional items need to be kind of included in this budget before I approve it.
Alderman Wesley.
I believe the overtime is in there for the police department. My opinion, I don't think we have to cough up to put a permanent structure out there for electric at this time. I think what we could do for this year is probably do it with generators and do it that way. The cost is, the whole key of this whole cost is why it's going up is we moved to Sound of Summer because obviously the crowd isn't there. We want to try something new. The stage, we're going to rent the stage this year, and if it works out, maybe we'll look at building one down the line. I don't know. The thing is, I agree, we could look at running it by generator. Usually carnival people bring their own big generator in to run their rides, so that's fine. I can see that. But in a way, I really liked to give it a try. And I'll tell you one, you guys asked me to sit on the special event committee in the Jubilee for last year, okay?
I remember you volunteering.
All right, well, whatever. I think we came in under budget than what you gave us in the past couple of years. I think we should give it a try and see. We could be under this budget. We don't know for a hard fact what the cost of the stages are going to cost. We got a rough figure of $900 a day. We don't know on that. It's hard to predict a budget on moving the whole thing to a new location on what it could cost. We only asked for this and believe me, we will try to keep this below this cost with no problem, if we could do that. But we're trying to enhance the community. I mean, it's tourism fun, and that's what it's there for. It's not that we're taking taxpayers' money coming in here. It's hotel money that we get from tourism. And I think we should continue to do it. And yeah, it's a big increase, but you guys trust us before, let us do it and see what we can do. We'll try to keep it under budget. No one says we'll spend it all. I'm just, give me the opportunity to do it.
Alderman Coles.
All right, she could check, Bensonville has a stage that they put up in their square every Wednesday night. You could check with them to see how much that one is rented, or if they own it, so you know what, and they got the spotlights and they got the speakers and everything, all in the stage. That's at Bensonville. Also, any carnival that comes in with their own units as far as generators are concerned. And I think the outfit that was doing the hamburgers and stuff like that over at the Grove there had one generator that was in the back that was running, that took care of everything. So they make generators now pretty big that they can take care of just about anything that we might have to have.
Alderman Ptolemy.
Thank you, Alderman Winger. My take on it is this. I think I'm not opposed to going ahead and doing it this year, but what I would like to see in conjunction is to look at putting together some costs, okay, having staff look at putting some costs together in terms of what would it cost to run electric out there. Because if you're going to do this on an annual basis, you don't want to be running generators out there and wires all over the place. You're going to want to try and establish a set area where you can have either another gazebo type like is up at the Grove, or a band shell. Okay, and I think we should start looking at cost of that now, so that come next year, you know, when the council is sitting up here and they're trying to make a decision, they would have some numbers that they can actually look at and say, you know, this does make sense. This is what we want to do. Let's go forward, and we can try, or the council at that time can try and budget for it at that time. But I'm not opposed to going ahead with this. I mean, in fact, when I look at the breakdown of the costs, you know, I'll be honest, I'm kind of surprised at what we get, you know, for the dollars. You know, I think it's a great job that, you know, that you people put together, you know, when you put this together that you're doing. Because it is, I mean, for the dollars, it's definitely worth, anytime you can bring the people together. And I think that's a great location for it.
Alderman Shockey.
Question. Holly Day tree lighting. Why is it Holly Day? I mean, isn't that holiday? Is that what we're trying to say? It says HOLLY-DAY.
I believe it's just trying to make it,
Okay,
fun.
now, get into that. We're talking here about Christmas lighting for the town? Where is that? Which one is that? Hold on, let me get. Okay, I got 94. This is it. Seasonal decorations. Okay, we've got $5,000 here, right? Okay. I was talking to our city clerk the other day, and we were talking about how it was not prepared that well. We didn't have a holiday spirit, and it's not the city clerk's fault, it's just that she didn't have enough money. We're not talking about buying things for the house where it can be small and inexpensive. We're talking about the whole town of making decorations for the town that's going to stand out. For instance, I know Addison is different, but they spend over $30,000 for holiday decorations. In talking to her, she would be very appreciative if we can maybe like double that price so that she could buy some things that could be used each year and work with Public Works Department so that they don't just throw it on the side and it breaks apart and it's gone. You know, other towns don't just cut their lighting off and throw it away each year. They get good lighting and they save it from year to year. And now with the cherry picker we're buying or leasing, whatever it is, we could do the same thing and make it look a lot better in town than it has in the past. So because the city clerk asked me about this, I would like to make sure it was brought up. She asked me to bring it up and see if there's a way of at least doubling that money, so she's got some money to work with and do something nice for the town.
Alderman Shockey, I'd be happy to visit that once we're completed with special events. And then Dory Madonna, the chairman of Stormwater, is here to also talk about a budget request item. And then that could be the third item, to go back to that line item of seasonal to determine
That
what we
would
do
be
with
fine,
that.
thank you.
Alderman Subak.
With respect to moving the Sounds of Summer, have we talked to the Park District, and are they on board? Because don't they share in the expense of the Sounds of Summer?
Yes, they are on board.
And then with respect to the increased funding, as far as the new events, you know, if you're going to make a run, and I'm going to call it Summerfest because that's what it was called, you know, my position would be have the committee focus the money on that because they tried a winter concert before, and my understanding was, even though it was advertised, it was always marginally attended. And so if, and that's at no fault of anybody on the committee or staff, it's just the reality of it. So I think that rather than adding too many new events this year, don't bite off more than you can chew. I'd rather have the focus be on that Summerfest 2-day event, making sure that there's enough money for that, rather than throwing something in the winter and spending the money that way.
The main focus actually is on that, but in order to, if we can't pursue this for some reason, as a backup, we want to be able to do
Sure.
more of it.
The other issue is one of the things brought up on the uniform tents for the food vendors. Again, when Summerfest used to be run, the food vendors, I thought they brought their own tents basically, and it didn't look bad. It was, you know, you're more looking for the quality of restaurants that are coming in and serving. So, again, the committee can spend the money the way they want, but every food vendor is going to be a little bit different. I don't think there's a big necessity to have them be uniform tents.
Well, as far as research we've done in other Summerfests, and what it is a uniform booth, and they bring their own sign.
Okay.
So it's not a huge cost, but
Okay.
it's what other Summerfests have in the past we've had at Summerfest
Sure.
and other Summerfests in the neighboring areas.
Thank you.
Alderman Ptolemy.
I think when you're talking about purchasing the booths anyway, it's a one-time purchase, and those should last anywhere from 5 to 10 years, I would hope. Okay, so you're talking about right, but you're talking about a one-time expense this year to purchase them, or are you talking about renting them?
We're looking into either possibilities. Right now, we've looked into mainly renting them, but there is
I would
possibility-
recommend you look at both, because sometimes when you maybe you want to do a mixture of both. I mean, just a suggestion, but you may want to look at doing both. And the reason I say that is because sometimes when you start renting, and you start renting year after year after year, in 5 years' time, you could have bought one, or you could have bought them all, for the price it would have cost you in terms of renting them. So maybe if you're able to do a combination, and then what we could do is, the vendors that come in, maybe you charge them, and I mean, I don't know if you've discussed this or not, but maybe you charge them a nominal fee for coming in, into the festival. I mean, because it's advertisement for them, and they're going to make profit off of every hamburger or every piece of pizza or whatever it is they're selling at that booth. So, there may be a way to recover some of your costs from that as well. I mean, again, they're just thoughts, but
We have actually discussed charging a booth rate
good.
per vendor at our taste that we're planning on having the Friday.
Because one of the things we talked about too, and I don't know, this was after last year's Christmas holiday thing, was what if the city owned one of those big tents, okay, the big open air tents, and a lot of the functions that we have at Christmas time, you actually were able to do outside in the tent. You could have a fire. I'm sure the city could get a dispensation for one night to have a little bonfire, outside. I mean, there's a lot of things that you could do and actually have it, have that outside as well. And when you buy, one of those big tents, that again is something that you're going to have for, a long time down the road, as long as it's taken care of. And I'm sure, Gary's people could take care of it, and, with his improving his site on Central, he's going to have a lot of room there for storage, so.
We actually are pondering that idea, but so far we've looked into it and we have looked into cost for that, purchasing tents. Our only concern is the ability for our people to put it up year after year.
I would say, have you talked with city staff and all? I mean, and again, I don't want to get into it, but I guess I am. But again, I'm looking at it from the perspective that sometimes it's cheaper to buy, okay, and do it yourself, and as opposed to continually renting. And if especially like in the case of a tent where it's something that could be used at multiple functions throughout the year. And maybe what you just need to do your first year, I mean, that you're really trying to get all this together, is look at some of those expenses, doing some of those, and maybe scaling back a little bit on your actual, your projects, so that you get yourself in a position the following year to be able to run all those functions, and you've got all, the majority of things that you need, to actually do them.
Mr. Manager.
Yes, we are looking into that. As a matter of fact, even with our decorations, we need to have a place to store the decorations. We have to put them up and take them down. So we would have to have storage for this. But if we start out, as you have suggested, and buy a little bit at a time, over a period of years, we could probably accumulate that if we have a place to put it, and we will if we expand the city services building. We can store all that stuff, but we certainly will look into that, because I think that's a good idea as a cost savings measure in the future.
I'm going to call Alderman Coles, then Alderman Wesley. Alderman Coles?
I got to disagree with Mr. Ptolemy. Buying a tent and putting it up is a project, because if you don't put them up right and you got people underneath them and they come down, you're going to be nothing but a lot of lawsuits. I've been under plenty of tents, and if I was under a tent when it came down, and there was about 30 dogs or 40 dogs plus the people underneath it, because a windstorm got it and it took the tent down. And I'll tell you, putting a tent up, you can ask Gary, is not an easy job, because you got to know how to put up all them poles all at the same time. And I got to disagree with you.
Alderman
I think
Wesley.
renting a tent is the best thing to go by.
Alderman Wesley.
And I'll bounce off that too. I mean, I agree in we could look at getting tents, but again, for what we paying for renting these tents, it's a lot easier to do that, and I agree. First of all, I don't know if the city staff, I mean, our public works people have enough time in their day to get these things up. I mean, that's a problem. What I like to do is I like to go ahead and agree we need to charge for the food vendors to rent these tents. Whatever the tent costs, we definitely get that back if they want to come here. And then we set a price for them to sell here to them. Therefore, we don't eat the cost of renting those tents. We get our tent money back, whatever they need. Okay? The other thing is, I agree that we will be more than happy to work on every issue that was addressed here tonight on buying tents, looking at Marshall's idea on what it would cost. Because I'll tell you one thing, I don't think we will have enough time even to contract someone out to dump electric up there if we go to that cost. I don't think we'll have enough time. I think what we should concentrate on is give us this budget to go with now. And I agree that we will work those issues and those numbers back to you by the end of this year. We will have the ballpark figure of what it will cost to put permanent electricity up there and everything else and buying the tents and all that. All I'm asking is to give us the opportunity to run with this budget for this year, and then we will work all those numbers back for you for next budget.
I'm going to make a motion, look for a second, then I'll call the question for additional questions. I'm going to make a motion to accept line item 09411-936 for the budget amount of $63,500. Is there a second? I'll second it. On the question, Alderman Subak.
Just two things. I think that the one reason Summerfest kind of didn't succeed after we had a 1 year or a couple good years of attendance was that the money was distributed right away to all the volunteer groups, which I agree that people who volunteer should get something back for their group, but eventually this fund, that Summerfest should become self-sufficient, meaning the money that it makes should stay in it before anything's purchased or anything's permanently put in. Make sure people show up. I mean, 2-3 years in a row, I would put temporary electric out there to make sure it's growing before any permanent electricity is out there and before any tents are purchased, because I agree with Alderman Coles. Rent them until we know that this is going to be an event that's ongoing. Thank you.
Any additional questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. The next item under special event, or under the tourism fund, which I'd like to address, I did receive a request from the chairman of the Stormwater Commission, Dory Madonna, to come and talk with us about a budgeted request item. And I thought this was an appropriate time to bring that forward and to hear the request. And it does have to do with the reservoir and using it as passive recreation and having a place to park to use that facility. And with that, I am going to ask Ms. Madonna to take us through her request.
Thank you for letting me come and address you this evening. I actually have a three-parted request. In our Stormwater Committee meeting last night, it was discussed that the proposed budget for the Stormwater Committee this year is going to be $10,000. In the past, it had been between $30,000 and $35,000. It is true that we have been using approximately between $7,000 to $10,000 in the last 2 years for improving the stream bank stabilization and replanting